The winner of Best Institutional Architecture Award from Berg, Singapore, Redbridge International Academy is the proud host of a huge campus that is spread across a lush green environment. A refreshing view to wake up to or to walk into, Redbridge is a campus that helps its students reconnect with nature. The refreshing and scenic atmosphere is rejuvenating for the mind and body, making education a whole new experience for the students. Redbridge has a state-of-the-art infrastructure, a biodiversity park, a combination of wide open spaces, abstract designs on colourful walls, well-ventilated classrooms with smart boards, and fully equipped science labs. The school has a library, a robotics room, math labs, and computer labs, available for all students from primary to high school.
When I first came into the school, I loved the infrastructure and there's a lot of greenery.
The school has dedicated spaces for learning music, dance, drama and art. This makes every day at Redbridge an enriched experience for the students. The school emphasizes on academic rigor and excellence in mainstream subjects, specifically English, math, science and computers, along with co-curricular activities. The spacious campus has professional indoor and outdoor facilities for all major sports and co-curricular activities, including facilities for athletics, football, cricket, basketball, badminton, tennis, table tennis, handball, throwball, karate, yoga, skating, billiards and squash. Swimming and horse riding are outsourced. The students develop a passionate attitude and have a healthy, cheerful personality essential to succeed in life. Redbridge has embarked on an innovative educational mission that is truly the defining factor in shaping our students for a successful career. Conventional education is transactional, while the education at Redbridge is transformational. Students, irrespective of their academic background, are transformed in their minds and bodies as they evolve in rigorous academic as well as co-curricular learning. Students have the option to choose from a wide variety of subject areas with a choice of different curriculum and qualifications. Academic focus instills in them self-discipline, good communication, critical thinking skills, and a smart intellectual disposition.
Redbridge campus is very beautiful. I like art, dance, music, pottery, lots of activities and co-curricular activities.
The sport activities ensure that the responsibility of learning shifts from the teacher to the students, thereby making learning self-directed, student-centric, and personalized. A balance of creative assessment in academic and sports facilitate group dynamics, decision-making abilities, problem-solving skills, resilience, mental fitness, and promote the overall well-being of the child. At Redbridge, every individual can truly empower and inspire one another to fulfill the mission of the school in a more enjoyable manner, thus overcoming all challenges to face the dawn of tomorrow.
With the mission to create well-rounded world citizens who will strive to stride ahead and reach beyond, Redbridge aspires to mold its students to unlock their talents, skill sets and competencies by the application of shared knowledge and teamwork. Redbridge International Academy is different in many ways, but what sets us apart from everyone is our inclusive education department. Children from all backgrounds, irrespective of their abilities or their disabilities, are welcome here, keeping in mind what they can do rather than what they can't. We focus on more of their abilities and their strengths rather than their disabilities and what they can't do. We use more hands-on activities. We are more open to what the child needs rather than what we need from the child.
We teach our students to break barriers of limited thinking, to see beyond the horizon, to understand people and their world better, in order to develop a foresight with which to view the uncertain future. At Redbridge, we believe in converting a student's dreams into reality and making our world a better place to live in. Holistic child development is the main focus of the school. We work on developing and nurturing the 5 personalities of a child: aesthetic, cognitive, physical, emotional, and spiritual.
In Redbridge International Academy, while we never lose sight of the fact that our students are the center of our mission and purpose, we never fail at every stage to inculcate in them values that are so essential to living a wholesome and fruitful life, in perfect harmony with themselves, but also with others and the world around them. Virtues of love, brotherhood, cooperation, loyalty, honesty, caring, sharing, and compassion are instilled in them the moment they enter the portals of this institution.
Redbridge prepares its students to face the real world and prepares them to take on challenges in an ever-evolving competitive society.
Thank you, parents, children, well-wishers. Warm welcome from Redbridge International Academy to this one-of-a-kind webinar, Homestay Issues of Students During These Pandemic Times, hosted by, rather the key speaker being Ms.Namrata Navalkar, renowned child therapist and counselor, who will be sharing her views with you shortly on this. I'm Raghavendra Ashok, and I head the Senior School English Department here at Redbridge. And I'll be your MC today. I'm reminded of an unforgettable story that I thought would be very relevant today in this session. It's called The Mousetrap. Some of you might have heard it. It's the story of this little mouse who overhears the farmers discussing the use of a mousetrap to trap him. He panics and he goes around asking help from all his farm friends, the snake, the hen, the cow, the pig, and all of them say, well, it's not my problem. But circumstances precipitate in rather strange ways for those animals, and they end up getting killed. And the only person, or the only animal that survives is the mouse. So when this pandemic raged a year ago, and the parents, maybe children, were kind of happy that they could stay at home and be with their family and work and attend school, they probably felt that it wasn't their problem that there was this pandemic, but that wasn't the case. Now we know that it's everybody's concern. And even though we're not talking about the medical implications in a very direct way, we're talking about the psychosomatic effects that this period has had on our little children. And so this webinar contextualizes that situation, and Namrata will help you cope with these issues. And these are real issues, and she'll come to that. So Redbridge International Academy is very proud to present this because we have been community-centered all through. Even within our curriculum of ICSE, IGCSE, the Cambridge IGCSE, and the International Baccalaureate, IBDP, we've always reached out to the community. I remember fondly that we were involved with RAHI, Rise Against Hunger India activities, and some of our IBDP children went out and taught government school children how to speak English. And many other community activities were part of our calendar, and we've stuck to it. We've been very unique in that respect. And of course, right now we have the Donathon that's going on, which is bridging the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged. And you might already be aware of that. So that's where we are, and we always like to help out in making a difference to people. And if we can help out, that's wonderful for us. So at the head of this institution is our dynamic chairman, Mr. Rohan Agarwal, and he will now speak to you. He'll probably lay the context of the series of webinars that he's planned for you, and he'll also speak about other things. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Raghavendra. Hello, and a warm good evening to everyone attending this webinar, being organized by Redbridge International Academy. I would like to take this opportunity to inform you about some things Redbridge International Academy has been up to in a year or so, in the last year or so. We were one of the first schools to start online support after the first lockdown. We were very conscious of the fact that all children and parents at home would need our support to keep them engaged during those difficult times in March 2020 and April 2020. So we started the support in less than 15 days after the lockdown began. And in fact, we started our regular online classes a month before any other schools began theirs. Even before the government could announce the quantum of time based on their research that the children should spend in front of the screen, Redbridge International Academy implemented the restrictions on the duration the students spent in front of their screen based on their age. And we were not surprised to know that what we had implemented was exactly in line with what the government had ordered. We were also one of the only schools to implement the full academic calendar. We were able to execute events such as Sports Day, Show and Tell, Annual Day, and all other special days that we celebrate during the regular calendar year. The idea behind this was to ensure that children didn't feel that they missed out on something, even though they were not able to attend the school physically. During the pandemic, we have also been successfully able to expand our infrastructure. We have been able to build many new, large, ventilated, and naturally lit classrooms in our expansive green campus. All this to be better prepared when the regular classes begin. We at Redbridge International Academy always want to stay ahead of the curve. I am not talking about the pandemic curve, but every other curve that we would like, positive curves that we would like to be associated with. And this time around, we want to focus our energy on mental health. It is often forgotten. It is an often forgotten subject, as physical well-being always supersedes mental well-being. Which brings me to the topic of this evening. I think we should give a big shout out to the young children in these tough and trying times of the pandemic, where everyone is applauding everyone, but no one is applauding our young children. These little heroes have stayed indoors more than they've ever known in their lives. All these rules they never known, and a life they couldn't have imagined. Everything they love to do, play sports, playing pretend with their friends, going to school, or just being kids, have all been taken away from them. They are simply imprisoned at home and are having to listen into so many adult conversations. Added to that is the stress caused by adults talking about people becoming unwell, unpleasant news, and the general feeling of vulnerability and negativity. Despite that, our relentless children get up every day and carry on without losing their spirit. However, it is a fact that the impact of COVID-19 on children is unprecedented. It is very important to acknowledge and understand some of the key challenges and concerns. I will list out a few. What is the child's psyche right now? What are their fears during the pandemic? How will this impact their study or their creativity? Will this change their behavior? Will the lack of social outing and peer interaction affect my child's future? How can I optimize my screen time? And many such concerns. This webinar attempts to address some of these concerns. Ms.Namrata Navalkar, our key speaker this evening, will lay out a foundation and suggestions on how you as a parent can help your child during this tough phase so that they do not suffer the consequences in the future. This session also wishes to address the parents' challenges and the ways to create a win-win situation for parents as well as their children. I'm sure many of you will find consonance with your own situation during this discussion, and there will be some useful takeaways by the end of this session. I would like to thank everyone on behalf of Redbridge International Academy for joining this webinar. I now hand it back over to Raghavendra to introduce the next speaker of this evening, for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And it was very heartening to us all, and especially the children, that you call the children the real heroes of today, and they really deserve that. And you also spelled out some of the real concerns that are baffling us all. And I'm sure by the end of this webinar, we will find a way out through this. Well, moving on to the next speaker, I should say I'm a little partial towards him. You know, take the case of a ship on an ocean. You need a captain to run that, right? Even if there are calm seas, but these are not calm seas, they're choppy waters, and you really need a good captain to sail us through to safety. And that's what our principal, our beloved principal, Mr. Christopher Anthony Brown, has been doing for the past year. I mean, he's been phenomenal in his leadership abilities, and he's put work before self, and he's led by example. And we're very grateful for his contributions and his support. And who better than him now to speak to you about some of the heartfelt issues that you all might be facing. I'm sure he'll have something to enlighten you all about. So over to Sir Christopher Anthony Brown.
Thank you, Raghavendra. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 45 years in a classroom, interacting with children, their parents, teachers, and society at large in various capacities. I really thought I'd seen it all, I've heard it all, and experienced just about everything one can imagine from the keen eyes of an educator. I was beginning to prepare myself mentally and emotionally. Physically, maybe not very much left. To call it quits. And to begin writing my memoirs. I'm certain it would make the bestsellers list. Until that fateful evening in March of 2020, when all of us came out of our homes and onto our balconies, banging on our pots and pans, with our mobile torches flashing and candles lit, as if to literally awaken the gods, that they, even in their omnipresence, could never envisage a catastrophe beyond all imagination that was about to hit the world. And all this caused by a hideous little creature called the coronavirus that I believe has been hiding out in nature for several decades. Of the viruses that attack humans, the coronavirus is big, particularly in their genomes. I'm sure you are aware that the genome is an organism's complete set of genetic instructions. Simply put, a genome is the brains of a cell. Now, the coronavirus genome is 3 times as big as those of the HIV and hepatitis C, and more than twice that of the influenza virus. And because of this, it is so smart, it is so deadly, it mutates whenever it is threatened. And so it has brought superpowers like the USA and Brazil and now India to its knees with its different variations. Double mutants, triple mutants, you name it. Today, nearly 17 months since COVID-19 first made its appearance, we have come to sadly acknowledge that this monster has not only physically attacked 160 million people around the world and killed nearly 3.5 million of them, but what is now turning out to be more damaging is that it has severely affected tens of millions of our minds as well. This attack and the violation of the human psyche is now being called the second pandemic, especially for our children and the adolescents. Our young ones are struggling with fear, with anxiety, with uncertainty, some with depression, and constant worries about their future. They know that something is really not right with the world. And the information that they keep getting, especially from the media, is traumatic, especially for the little ones, as their comprehension is limited. This is creating confusion in their little minds and giving rise to a number of questions. When will the lockdown end? When can we go out and play? When can we meet our friends? When can we see our teachers? When can we go back to school? And even more pertinently, are we all going to die? Most parents don't know the answer. So they generally respond with uncertainty. Their ambiguous responses don't help in the least, as most often these responses are due to their own anxiety, their own insecurities, and of course, the prevailing uncertainties. The pandemic and the unprecedented measures to contain the disease has affected every aspect of our children's life. Their health, their development, and most importantly, their learning. In the initial months and until recently, I was always very positive. And I spoke at length about these aspects, hoping it would at least bring some hope and strength to all of us and our families. The increased family time that we kept missing for many years in our life, the opportunities to care for each other, the time to bond and to laugh together, a time for introspection, an opportunity for examining our own life experiences, our thoughts, our feelings, and also the learning of new skills and developing healthy habits. But social isolation caused by prolonged school closure and digital addiction has proved disastrous for the healthy growth of our children and for our own mental equilibrium as well. Lack of routine, loss of freedom, being confined at home makes it an almost impossible situation for our children to be in. Parents, on the other hand, were also not prepared for this transition of school to home and online learning. They found themselves struggling with the burden of their enhanced roles and responsibilities, and to a routine that was totally alien to them. After trying as hard as they could, parents have now begun to accept that they just cannot replace their child's teacher. Well, at least not in the eyes of their own children. This webinar is therefore meant for us to talk to each other openly, honestly, and freely, and to share so that in whatever little way, help us to confidently face an uncertain tomorrow. Thank you for your patient hearing, and I hope our discussion will be very, very fruitful this evening. Mr. Raghavendra, thank you for giving me the opportunity to address our guests today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Brown. I think you've laid on the table all the demons that have been around us, very real concerns. Of course, you've talked about the better aspects also that the pandemic brought in, but I think you've touched upon all the pertinent things that we need to really sit up and take notice about. Thank you very much, sir, for bringing that to our attention, and I'm sure we will all together find a way forward. Parents, children, before we go on to our key speaker today, there has been a link put up on your chat box. That's the link for you to go to the Google Forms and register yourself for this webinar. So I request you to do that as you simultaneously participate in this webinar. I think the link has just come up on your chat boxes. So now, today I just had a chat with our key speaker today, Ms.Namrata Navalkar, and she was so chirpy and so full of energy, and she couldn't wait to meet all of you here to share her experience and to help in whatever way she could, if she can be of any assistance today, to help you cope with these issues. So Namrata has done her MS in psychotherapy and counseling, and she's had over a decade's experience in psychotherapy, child therapy, and she's also specialized in substance abuse. And I think her presentation today will shed a lot of light on this situation. And once she finishes her presentation, we will move forward with some select questions that she will address. So over to Ms. Namrata Navalkar.
Hello. Hi, good evening to everyone listening to me today, and a very warm welcome. Thank you, Mr. Brown, Mr. Raghavendra, Mr. Rohan, and Ms. Shumita for accepting me for this webinar, which is a very close to heart topic for me. I have been looking forward to this because I know everywhere there is just this topic about homeschooling or remote learning, or children just sitting at home and trying to learn. Well, I call it crisis schooling, actually. And I'm sure teachers and parents would agree with me, because this is something that none of us had, even thought about, forget being prepared for. And teachers and parents are really trying their best to get to the better of every child, which, they're helping to their best ability. But I think it's a very, very important topic today. And I extend my warm welcome to all of you who have joined in on a Saturday evening at 5 o'clock. It's really heartening to know that there are a lot of participants today. I would like to start by saying that it's like I said, it's a very close to heart topic, because I've been a parent. I am a parent myself. They're grown up now, but at some point they were young, and they have gone through a certain issues that I will discuss today. But I don't know, I have mixed feelings, because I'm glad that they are way past their schooling years and they do not have to go through what today's children are going through, sitting at home and learning. Well, most kids don't have a choice. They have to sit at home and learn. So I call it this whole situation that the pandemic has brought us down to our knees as parents and teachers and the education system and all, as a learn from home phenomena. Because this, I think, is going to be carrying on for some time now. And we all have to accept as parents and educators that this is something that we will need to address in the coming months. Hopefully not for too long, but till it's on, yes, we need to accept. The reason why we are fighting this, I feel, is because of the acceptance. We have not yet been able to accept that this is the new way for learning. It is the only way of learning, actually, because there is no going out. There are no schools that are going to have any more kids coming into their premises for some time. And as long as we realize that this is for the safety and the well-being of the child, we will be able to accept it. The key to the whole issue here of learning from home is the acceptance. Having said that, we need to understand that this cannot be a crisis or a phenomena that is more than what we can handle. It cannot override our thinking capacity. It cannot override our understanding of how to resolve this situation, because there are ways and means of handling this. Mr. Rohan Agarwal mentioned a very important point, that physical health is always taken a precedence over everything else, adult or a child's well-being. Coming from a psychology background, I have a very important and it's a very interesting factor of today's life, more so today's life, that mental health cannot be ignored. When we say mental health, it is always associated with very, very dire words like depression, anxiety, panic, stress. But for me, mental health is like physical health. When I say physical health, what comes first to mind is a healthy body, a healthy routine, exercise, good nutrition, nutritious food, and everything that makes our body healthy, even sleep for that matter. So when we talk about mental health, why should it come to a very, very end of spectrum kind of a topic? Why can't mental health be looked at, especially for children, in a more positive way, in a more proactive way? Why does somebody come to a counselor only when the water is above the head? My question today to all the teachers, educators, parents, and everybody listening, why cannot we make therapy or mental health as a part of our everyday routine? Why is mental health not given as much importance as physical health? It's not coming from a counselor or a therapist, it's coming predominantly from a parent. Because if we teach our children to think healthy, to feel healthy in the brain and the mind, we do not actually need to go to a therapist at all. We are then empowering all our children to be healthy in the mind so that they take care of all the other aspects in their life. Okay, quite heavy. Let's go to the topic of today, the pandemic. Mr. Brown really spoke about in length about it, so I don't want to go any further into it. But yes, it has created a very big impact on all our minds, and more so children. At least we talk about it, we get onto the net and we find out things, or we are, curious, and we listen to stuff and we get our curiosity sorted. But imagine the children who are listening to corona, COVID, death, hospitalization, oxygen levels, oximeters, and all these words thrown at them continuously because they're in the home, in the four walls of the home. I'm sure most of the kids have just kind of grappled with information that's coming their way and not able to process it. Maybe they haven't even really understood it. They're just trying to figure out, why am I sitting at home? Why are my parents so worried about this big giant called corona? And how am I going to deal with this whole situation where I can't meet my friends or I can't go out and play? I'm talking about a preschooler or a toddler or a maybe junior school student, right? So let's get on to my thoughts, which I've tried to capture in a few slides, and I would like to share it with them. As I said, it is let's call it the LFH phenomena. Sounds cool, right? But it is learned from home, which is not so cool, of course. Children have to accept, like I said, that learning is a part of their routine, whether from home or the school or the classroom or anywhere else. So let me introduce myself again. I'm a life coach, counselor, psychotherapist, all of that on paper, actually. But at heart, I am a parent and a mother, a very proud mother. I have 2 children who have grown up, but they've put me through the grind till they reached here. So I can very confidently say that I have a little amount of experience that I'm addressing children, parents of children who are younger than mine. I take that opportunity to have, a little more experience than the parents that I'm going to be talking to. I'm very happy to be here today, this evening, because it's a lovely audience. There are parents who are, I'm sure, very keen to know what I'm going to say. But let me put one fact straight. I think I'm going to say some things that you already know. It's just reconfirming and reassuring all parents that they're doing a fabulous job all the educators who are doing a fabulous job, because they are actually going that extra mile and doing the best that they can to teach kids what they're supposed to do, not in the way they are supposed to. So that's the big challenge. And I have a big shout out to all the educators and parents who are going through this very challenging time. So remote learning is something that I would like to address as something that all of us are going through. We always talk about, when we say remote, it is about control, right? The remote control has been a part of our life ever since maybe 20 years or 25 years, where we think that we have the control in our hand in spite of being remote from the TV or whatever gadget that we are operating. Well, now let's use it for learning, because actually we are trying to put things in our control, not being able to be there physically, but understanding how to deal and cope with this whole concept of remote learning. For me, the main area of concern here is, as you can see, the emotional side of a child, the mental side of a child. It's very important that we understand how to regulate this. Because once we start understanding how to regulate a child's emotions, we can actually teach them to regulate themselves. And I'm not talking about teenagers or adults. I'm even talking about toddlers and preschoolers who can be taught how to regulate their emotions. It's a very big word, but it doesn't have to be taught in such a big way. It's, to simplify it, it means feel what you're feeling. Accept what you're feeling. Understand what you're feeling. If you're feeling frustrated about sitting in four walls and learning, if you're feeling sad that you cannot meet your school friends, if you're feeling angry that you can't go out and play, you have to teach the kids to talk to themselves and understand what they're feeling. A lot of times I use this phrase, and I'm going to use this again today. It's okay to not be okay. If every parent teaches their children this on a very personal level and actually also practices themselves this phrase of it's okay to not be okay, I think we're going to bring children to be very compassionate and empathetic human beings. Yeah. So how do we, of course, most of you will ask me, how do you do self-regulation or emotional regulation? Let's look at it. So yeah, I tried to put down a few points where I would like us to know that these are the key points where we would focus, because going to school versus remote learning is a huge paradigm shift for a child. And what are the areas that get affected with this change? So according to me, of course, these are very broad areas, but I have tried to put them under these 4 points, which I feel are predominantly important for understanding. How is it different from going to school and remote learning?
Just mention that the screen.
So coming back to my original point of remote learning, according to me, these are some of the challenges that a child can face when we are expecting the kid to learn from home. Yeah, sustained attention. How do you sustain a kid's attention for long periods of time when he's trying to learn something sitting in the four walls of his house, which he even in that same room where he sleeps and he plays and he also has to learn? So it's a challenge. How do you discipline a child without having a teacher sitting in front of him? How do you monitor him? So these are my key areas of challenges that I feel remote learning throws in front of the educator as well as the parent. So when we say sustained attention or when we say discipline, this is a very, very crucial point or crucial area where parents always talk to me about. How do I discipline my child? Or how do I get him to be attentive for long periods of time? We will come to that eventually. I will, so discipline is a topic by itself. It will take me at least 2 to 3 hours to understand, and for the parents to understand how it is important and how easy it is to discipline children. Well, I couldn't discipline mine when they were young, but I'm now talking from experience. So yeah, I can say that I, have a little more points to add on the discipline front for sure. When we talk about emotional regulation, this is actually what it means. The ability to monitor and understand emotions one is feeling. When am I having a certain emotion? Why am I reacting to that emotion? How am I expressing that emotion? If you teach even a 4-year-old kid, if she comes to you and says, Mom, I'm angry today. I feel like shouting today. As a parent, the first reaction would be, what happened? You shouldn't be angry. It's not good. You shouldn't shout. What's the problem? Instead of that, if you tell a child, okay, what made you angry? How are you feeling because of what made you angry? Are you okay, or are you not going to be able to talk to me for some time? That I feel is self-regulation, and we can very easily teach our children this at whatever age. It doesn't have to be that the kid has to be a teenager or a young adult for you to wait for him to learn what self-regulation is. Emotional regulation is one tool, in my opinion, which goes a long way even till our adult life. And trust me, if we understand the importance of this in our everyday life, we probably will never have to be stressful about anything. Stress is formed this is the way I look at it. Stress is formed because there is a confusion between what our mind thinks and what our mind is doing. There is no correlation between these two. And when this confusion starts getting bigger and bigger, stress is the first reaction that the mind or the brain goes through. Okay. Like I was saying earlier, it's a great tool for everybody who's involved. Students, the educators, the parents, the caregivers, everybody who's involved in this learning process. Self-regulation, emotional regulation becomes a very, very big tool. Okay, interesting part, tips for parents. Now, parents could be, of course, from different age groups, but I'm presuming that we are all in it together at an average age of the child. These are the 3 ways that a parent can look at it, okay? Basic is not age-wise basic. It's not about young kids. Going extra mile is not about middle school kids. Advanced is not about teenagers, no. This whole technique is about how to use it at this level, at a basic level. It's like this, okay? Let me give you an example. You bought a new car and you want to know, you're very curious to know how it runs. You would like to know the basic working of it, like the first thing anybody asks is, what mileage does it give, right? What is the clearance of the car? And stuff like that, which are basics. If somebody had to go to the extra mile, they would find out things with the engine or, the carburetor or whatever else that they want to know, the shock absorbers. And if they really want to go to the advanced level of understanding the car, they would probably go down to the mechanics of it, like the chassis and the other stuff, the engine oils and how the engine runs and the RPM and stuff like that. So if I've given you an analogy of these three, that should be how it would be useful in our tips for parents. Yeah, what are the basic tips that a parent can give the kid at whatever age? But like I said, we're looking at a very what should I say, normal level of learning or teaching, learning for the child and teaching for the kid. So when I talk about the basics, okay, let me just, I have made a note of it. So let me just talk about that. When you have something like remote learning happening, which has never happened before, what would be a basic need of the child? A good internet connection, a stable Wi-Fi connection, which would not interrupt in the way of his learning, a good place for the child to sit in, which is roomy, which has sunlight, which is airy, which is comfortable, which has a table and chair, and that the child is not, lying down on bed with the laptop on his chest and looking at what the teacher is saying. These are the basics, at least, that a child should get, where a parent should be involved to see that these are done. Stationary items. Otherwise, while going to school, a parent is very particular about the bag being packed properly, the proper books and stationery being taken. This also has to be seen, not to a very minute detail, but oversee it. Yeah. Also help the child to create a daily routine for himself. If they know that just because it is at home, it cannot be that you get up, brush your teeth, and sit in front of the monitor, right? Give the child an understanding that some kind of a routine has to be followed in spite of it being at home. Get the child involved in these routine activities. Don't make it like you have to do it. There is a compulsion, or there is a strict no for certain things. If a child feels today, I'm going to get up late, if you put a regulation on him saying, if you get up late, I will not allow you screen time, or I will not allow you your ice cream, or whatever that you feel will work. Trust me, whatever that you feel will work will definitely not work. For one reason, that the child knows that he or she finally will get her way, because for the mother, what is important is attending that class. So at that point of time, whatever it takes, and there you go, the kid has pressed the right button. And that button will be pressed again and again and again till the parent not even will realize that the child is a parent now and the parent is the child, because now he's controlling the parent. It has happened very often. And it has been researched in detail about why this conditioning goes a long way. Okay. Another very important point that I would like to bring about to parents now in this basic area of understanding how to self-regulate the child. It would be really, really nice if I talk to the child at the child's level and not stand up there looking down at the child saying, do what I'm telling you to do because I know that this is right for you. First of all, the parents standing, towering above the kid, where the child has to look up, that itself is a big no for me. Sit down on your knees at the child's level, talk at eye level to the kid, saying, do you think this would work with us? Make it a teamwork. Make yourself feel that you are part of the child's team. Not that the child is on the other side of the team and you are bombarding the child with orders. Inculcate the word we in conversations with your child. Instead of I, me, you, these become detrimental for the message doesn't go through. When just make a note of this very consciously. I'm addressing this to the parents. Do it as a experiment. Talk to your child with, I know what I'm saying, or I know that you should do this, or the same message being said, should we do this? Do you think, instead of saying, do you think this will work? The narrative has to be very, very proactive. Can we do this together? Do you think we can do this as a team? And you see how the child will get involved with whatever that you want to do. Yeah. So these are some of the basic tips that I have. Now, going that extra mile. If the child comes and tells you, Mom, I'm not very happy with that table because I can't see properly. Okay, go that extra mile, sit with that child for a class and see why she's saying that. Is there any distraction? Is she able to look out of the window at the time that she's looking at the screen and there's something happening there that is not working out for her? Or would you just tell her, no, go and manage, I can't do anything now, that's how it is. You're always complaining about something or the other because you don't want to, sit in one place. Go that extra mile, be proactive with the challenge that the child is facing. Maybe 9 times out of 10, there is not, anything big, but there may be that one time that she's really saying something. That is, I feel, the extra mile that one needs to go. Also, I think as parents, we need to be a little more empathetic with that child trying to learn, sitting in that chair, trying to learn history, geography, and whatever that else the teacher is teaching, and yet be attentive, yet be very, very proactive, and yet be happy at the end of the day. So when the child is sitting in those 4 walls and learning, and at the end of the day is not happy, is sad, is irritable, be empathetic. Try and understand what that kid is going through. Yes, all of us are sitting at home. We are all working from home, trying to make the best of whatever we can. But the child doesn't understand the bigger picture, right? The child, she just knows that some kids also think that they've been punished. When they're, the real young kids would also think that they're punished because they don't know why they're sitting for months together at home. What's wrong? So one of the kids parents whom I spoke to, the mother told me that it was really funny when I heard it for the first time. But looking at the way the child thought, I was really wondering what must have got her to think that. So this child thought that there was a huge earthquake and the school building had fallen down and all the teachers and students and everybody had run away somewhere to escape that earthquake. I don't know where she got it from. Something that she saw or read or heard. So one day she cried and she told her mother, she said, Mom, I am not able to sleep because I'm getting nightmares that my teachers and friends and everybody have gone away and they are in some remote place and they can't come back. So can you please help them? Young kid of maybe 7 or 8. But imagine the way that the kids, decipher knowledge, decode understanding. Okay, now what would be that advanced tip for parents? Like I said, if you have to have an advanced understanding of your car, you would really go down to the basics of chassis and shock absorbs and how the exhaust works and things like that. In this case, it would be actually understanding how the mind of the child is working. Why is the child behaving in a particular way? Every parent knows their child very well. Okay, when a parent asks me, I don't know why my child behaves like this. Okay, let me give you an example. There was a mother who came to me with her, he was 10-year-old kid, saying that my son has started lying a lot. and I have caught him lying, but he does not accept that he's lying. He covers up with another lie to, he covers his first lie with another lie. And I'm not able to take it anymore. I am very, very upset. This is against my moral views of how a child should be. A child shouldn't lie. Okay, so the next sentence, the next statement is, you please, ma'am, get my child to stop lying. Is this a magic wand that you just have around the kid's head and stop him from lying? I asked her that. I said, ma'am, you are the mother. You have spent 10 years with him. I think you should tell me what is it that's making him lie. She said, I don't know. You are the expert. You tell me. Okay. That was a real challenge for me. So I got talking to her, and therapy doesn't work just like, a magic overnight change. In a few sessions, I got to know that this child has been told many times by his father to do things which were not particularly honest. I will give you an example. Sunday afternoon, those days, I'm talking about like 5, 7, 8 years back, where landlines were still in use. So those days on, picture this, on a Sunday afternoon, the family is just chilling, maybe watching something on TV, and the phone rings, and this kid goes to pick up, and the father tells him, if it is for me, tell them I'm not at home. Or I'm not at home, I'm traveling. What message are you giving that child? It's okay to cover up. This is just one thing I'm telling you. And this, the mother told me over a period of time. And after that, she herself realized, and she told me, yes, ma'am, what you told me was right. As a parent, we have to have some kind of an understanding of what modeling are we doing in front of them. What role model are you portraying? If you tell the child to tell somebody, I'm not at home when I am at home, and if it's the father or the mother, the child gets a very clear message that it's okay to lie. If my mother and father can lie, then what's the problem if I do? And these are small lies, right? So yeah, so this is what I was talking about, advanced level of understanding what the child needs. Are you ready to do that, parents? Because if you do, it would really be a great help to the child. Okay, moving on to the next topic. So in the light of this pandemic, what do we do? That's the main question, right, for today. What do I do as a parent to understand how to handle my child in this pandemic? Let's look at the few areas that, according to me, will help. The first one is food. Food, mood, and learning is something that I loved to put together because I believe that these three go very close, hand in hand. This is something that all of us must know. And it's very alarming, but it's the truth. Yeah, I'll give you a quick episode that I had with a child. She was brought to me at when she was in the 8th standard, telling me that her mother brought her to me saying that if she doesn't get her grades up, the school has said that they will give her a TC and I have to find another school. Can you please help me? So I said, no, I'm not a tuition teacher. I can't do anything about her grades. She said, no, she has a very good tuition teacher. I can see her studying, but somehow the grades are not going up. I really need your help. So after having a few sessions of therapy with her, I realized that this child, parents both working, and this is before the pandemic. So the child, when she would come home, she would binge on chocolates and ice creams. So much so that there was no normal food habits between the time that she came from school to the time that the parents came. And I came to a plateau with her. With therapy for 6 months, I realized that the child is not moving forward at all. In spite of everything being the same, we realized that her sugar spike levels were so high that her brain was just not able to assimilate and keep the knowledge that she was trying to put in. It was very, very alarming. When we started monitoring her food, her teacher called up the parent in 6 months, I think. It was 6 months that we monitored. And she said, please tell me what you've done with this child, because there is a phenomenal change, not only in her grades, but also in her behavior. The school called me over. I addressed the 8th, 9th, 10th standard students. I gave them an understanding of how, and this child was very, very generous enough to stand in front of those students and talk about her own experience. It was very heartwarming. And this is real life. These things do work. If you monitor the food intake of your child, I'm not saying give them healthy food all the time, just monitor it. Give them cheat days. Okay. The slide says it all. As adults, do we do it? No. How can we expect our children to do it? Not possible. Not possible to keep it at that level, but at least have an understanding. Okay, here's a tip for you parents. I understand it can't be done to this level. This is a WHO recommendation. So what do I do? Keep a chart of sleep pattern of yourself and of your child. For 1 week, just write down the time that you go to bed and the time that you wake up. You'll be amazed at how little you can get away with sleep. Do it. For me, this is my personal experience. When I tried to do it for myself, I was so ashamed of the chart that I saw after 1 week that I stopped doing the chart after that. What do you expect the children to do? But on a serious note, teach them this habit, because this is self-regulation. When they see how many hours they're sleeping and they understand why they need to sleep. So this is why you can explain to them why they need to sleep. It's ironic, but yes, sleeping after learning a new skill only enhances your memory. Isn't that a great way to teach your child why they need to sleep well? Yeah. The next area of focus. Of course, we all talk about this all the time, physical health. But how does one get to physical health after you are stuck in a house? I think these are good ways to do it. Online dance classes. My daughter is a teacher for online dance classes, so I know how happy kids are when she does that. I have taken screenshots of kids laughing, jumping, smiling when the dance class is on. Seriously, it's a very, very good recommendation by me. Work out with siblings, make it fun, have goals, have competitions, have star charts made for them to see who's doing well. Of course, walking pets. Lockdown will allow you to walk your pet. Some parents will ask me, how come we go out in lockdown? But yes, you can. I'm sure you can. Yeah. This is a very important revelation again. With regular exercise, children will experience an improvement in social connections, creating a routine for themselves and relieve symptoms of anxiety and stress. Aren't all parents looking at a magic solution for creating a routine for kids not to be anxious and stressful? I think exercise is the best way out. One of my favorites, which is actually given the least importance. It's very, very important to teach a child how much water to drink and why he should drink. So I also teach kids how to make bullet journals. I don't know if anyone of you are aware, but bullet journals are the best way to keep track of mood, of water intake, of sleep, of your physical activities, and all of that. Whatever that you can put in about yourself and how you can regulate yourself can go into a bullet journal in a very artistic way. So if somebody has an artistic bent of the mind, they can actually make a chart There is an app on the phone where it actually reminds you with an alarm every 15 minutes with a sound of water being poured. But then again, we are teaching the child to go back to the same screen from where we want him to come away, right? So I chart, and also parents, don't you think it's a good idea to get them to sit on the floor with a chart paper in front of them and drawing away, being creative, and yet getting something out of it? Giving them an activity which is fun, but also giving them a goal or a focus. So these are the recommended quantities of water that human beings should have. If you want more, of course, no harm. Okay, another very interesting fact. When our body is constantly hydrated, there is an exchange of nutrient which goes from our body to the brain, which results in all these four. Trust me on this one, okay? This has been again researched and proven. Better concentration, greater mental alertness, improved memory, and a balanced mood. Just plain, simple water. That's the effect it has. Okay. This is something that is my favorite because I like to do a lot of things with my hand, which are very, very, very deeply connected to the state of mind. When I am in a state of frenzy, I start cleaning. This is my personal experience. And when I shared it with one of my parents who was in therapy with me, she said, my God, this is like magic. My husband was so happy to see me happy even after I've cleaned a whole bunch of dishes. Why didn't you tell me this before? It was like when I was scrubbing the dishes, I was getting all my anger off. I said, wow, this is 2 in 1, right? Not only do you get the dishes clean, but you're off with all the stress and the anger that sits on your head. You can clean your floor, you can wash dishes, you can, what else is there? There are lots of things at home that you can do. But if you teach the children how to use this effectively, see, the whole area of my focus is we know all this in theory as parents because maybe we've experienced it, maybe we've read about it, but we need to get to the children to get them to understand why we are saying what we are saying. Not that I am a parent, I have lived my life more than you, my hair is just not gray because of the sun, I have experience. These are the things that kids hear all the time. Instead of that, if you actually tell the children why you're telling them certain things, it would really help. And this again is a very interesting fact. We all hear about endorphins, right? Which are released. I mean, it's a word which is very, very frequently used in mental health now. The happy hormone. It is a very important part of child development. For the child to experience this happy hormone. And with this pandemic, I'm sure they're not experiencing it enough. It's more of the cortisol that comes up. So how do you get them to be happy? Okay, I will not go into the details of this, but one I would definitely like to stress upon, and if parents are with me on this, I would also like them to understand for themselves. It's been proven that if you plant a seed and see it grow and nurture it, it has a great sense of fulfillment in a mind, in the brain. Okay? It's a very small activity. It may seem very unimportant, but to a child, it will really, really make a big difference, especially because he can't grow. I mean, he can't go outdoors. So you bring inside. This is an experiment that I want all the parents to experience with their children. You see the joy on their face when you see the first sprout. It's amazing. I cannot put it down in words. I think we should not, undermine all these small things and say, okay, this is okay. We've done it all our lives. So what's the big deal? No, do it at the child's level again. Be a child and experience it with them. Okay, the most glaring topic in today's scenario, right? How much is enough or how much is too much? This is something that I keep getting asked. So, what is screen time? If parents would know, it's just not the phone or the computer, it's everything that these activities concern. It's the television, it's the video games, it's the social media, it's the music that is streamed through a computer when your screen is on, and of course all the ebooks that one is using very frequently now. Everything together is screen time. It's just not that your laptop is on and then you go off the laptop and get onto the phone so your screen time's over. No. These are some of the benefits of having good quality screen time, which we should share with all our children. Why do we keep saying no for everything which we feel is no? Why can't we tell them the good side of it also, so that they use their discretion and actually understand how to make better choices? It does help you to update your skills. It does help you to get digitally literate. Without this, they wouldn't have been able to take their online classes. Do you know children of 5 and 6 are much more digitally literate than a 60-year-old? I mean, it's really ironic, but I see my father, who's 84. Okay, he's 84, so probably, that is another challenge. But even my husband, who's 62, asking my children how to get on with some things that they get stuck with. For that matter, today's presentation was a big help from my daughter, because without her, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It's something that is a fact. So why don't we expose them to the positive side of screen time? Why does it become a big demon in front of them all the time, right? The spontaneity that they have, the capacity to grasp new things that they have, this all comes because they're literate, digitally literate. This is it's not a very good side of screen time, but yes, we need to know that in growing children, especially when the brain is developed and the body is also getting developed, when they're entering their adolescence, it has been linked with obesity. It has been linked with irregular quality and low quality of sleep, behavioral problems, yes, loss of social skills, aggressive behavior, less time for plays and activities. These are very obvious, I know, but I've had experiences with parents who tell me that kids who are addicted to video games are very, very aggressive in their normal life, in their day-to-day life. So how do you address screen time with adolescents? But the gist of it is by being interactive, proactive, and actually discussing stuff with them rather than telling them not to do things. Yeah, these are tricks, actually. And the most important is, which everybody talks about, is before bedtime to shut off all blue light, screen time, at least for an hour. This is the most important tip I can give you. This is what I finally end my presentation with, because I think we're running short of time now, and I'm getting a little bit of beepers from somewhere that we have to wind up. So I would have liked to spend a little time on the screen time, but this is, if you're going to record this and show it to parents, then this would be actually a gist of what I was going to say. Sorry. This is what I would like to end with, which I believe very, very firmly, and I practice it with all my kids and all my parents who come to me. It is not about what you do. It is about how you think and why you should do it, not about just doing it. Children must be taught how to think, not what to think. One of my favorites. Thank you for being so patient with me and listening to all the gyan that I had to give. I hope some of it is of use. most of it comes from my personal experience, not from theory or from articles, but actually the work that I have done. And let's throw it open to any questions that are there.
Thank you so much, Namrata. Well, I'm so amazed about the positivity that came out of this session. And I didn't know, as a parent, of course, what to expect from such sessions, but this was so therapeutic, if I should say so. Such clarity. You just broke up things for us parents in, such simple ways, such easy to do kind of things. And I'm sure we will really, for your sake, we will do that and find the benefits. Thank you so much. That was so wonderful. And I was also thinking, yeah, I'm 6 feet. And when you said you just sit down and talk to your child, I just imagine myself to be a giant, when I'm speaking to my child, and how the child would feel, especially if I'm saying, do this and do that. That was wonderful. You've just opened up many of our eyes, I think. And you are the expert. So now we know why experts are experts, and you just brought it to us the way we wanted it seen. Of course, you tell us that we knew all about this, but that's probably not true, or maybe we didn't know what to do with that. So thank you so much. That was wonderful. And I know that our chairman has told me that this is just the first of the many webinars that's coming the parents' way, and we will come back grander, based on the wonderful webinar that you brought to us. So we're so thankful for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm sure all the parents have the same thing to say. So moving on, two parents had a chat with our principal, and they had a story to share which had some relevance to the topic. So I now invite the parents, Clyde, who works in the IT department, and Jacqueline, and they are parents of two primary school children, and they can share their story.
Hi, everyone.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us on the show. And this is Jacqueline and myself. We will share our experiences. So I leave it to Jacqueline because she's faced most of it. And yeah, we'll take it on from there.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Rohan and Mr. Brown from Clyde and me for allowing us to share our experience in this forum. Clyde and me have two kids, both at Redbridge for a few years now. The experiences that we want to share about pertain to our experiences from the last academic year. I'm a homemaker and Clyde works in the IT sector. Our kids have a small age gap. Last year, when we started the academic year, they were 3 and 5 years old, nursery and grade 1. Of the many challenges I personally faced, the biggest was no housemaids. Some of the other challenges I faced were it takes a lot of time to keep children in this age group engaged for long, a lot of effort rather. Parental supervision is the most important, be it eating, using the bathroom, writing practice, craft, or even logging into a PC or a phone to attend an online class. If I'm to leave them alone, unattended, even for 20 minutes, I'll have a big mess to clean up, which will take anything to about almost an hour. Another challenge is being within the four walls at home all day for days on end impacts them psychologically. It manifests in more temper tantrums, crying endlessly for no reason, or the smallest of things can irritate them, aggression and whatnot. It took us time to figure out that this is actually something which is underlying. It's not something we can put our finger on and whatnot. And then to that, you add sibling rivalry. So you see, when your husband is locked in his room or on back-to-back calls and you have cooking, feeding, attending to the kids hand and foot on your platter, you're already struggling to cope. Then there's logging into the laptop or phone, pulling out the kids' books. You're trying to navigate frequent disconnections, audio disturbance. In the middle, one kid needs a bathroom break. Sometimes conflicts in kids' class schedules. This just left me juggling things while trying to maintain order and get things done. My husband sees my plight, he chips in, only to find he's missing calls, his own timelines, or can't concentrate on his meetings with kids crying or chatting in the background. But the toughest part is yet to come, teaching your own little ones. We can handle housework and baby care, but not all of us are cut out for teaching. We don't have any of the colorful charts or cute cutouts that you have in your primary classrooms to keep the little ones engaged. Just a cut and dry adult's take on the textbook at hand. Our kids are not buying it. They expect a bit of song and dance and twinkling eyes and storytelling. Writing practice for the little one entails a straight 45 minutes per letter and a barrage of questions and excuses. Little fingers grasping the pencil, explaining maths concepts which are simple for us but new to our kids. This is heavy work for those who are not trained in teaching. We would willingly teach if our mind was not on that roti burning or the cooker whistling and we are trying to count the whistles, or on the water that the kids spilled on the floor that has to be mopped right now before once the day's classes are over, it's now back to the grind with automated dishes, mopping, kids' baths, etc. Eating each kid, their tantrums, picky eating, meal planning. I'd say personally, cooking in between classes was the worst challenge we have faced. I've also seen parents feeding their kids while classes on. That only gave me momentary comfort to know I was not alone. Now, in hindsight, I realize that as school is moved from campus to our own homes, helpers are not available, and our days are now cramped with multiple roles. Parenting, teaching, and housework, can we, with a little planning, evolve into a more basic and simple model that should be sustainable for the next academic year? So based on our experience last year, we have just two simple requests, and primarily only for this age group. Can we have academic subjects covered in the first half, where our parental attention is needed the most? Once that's covered, classes like music, art, dance, all extremely essential. But can we schedule that later, leaving parents free to attend to cooking lunch? And can we start classes at 10 a.m.? We need sufficient time to attend to the children and cover breakfast time for them and us. They're not fed well, we're not fed well, we're all cranky, attention span suffers. We understand the dynamics of reorganizing timetables is not an easy task, and teachers are in a worse situation than us. They also have their kids attending online classes. So the school is the best judge on how best our requests can be addressed. And Clyde and me are extremely grateful to all the teachers who walked that extra mile, held our hands, helped us through, and gave us the courage to face the textbook and our kids' tantrum. We only hope we all sail through this pandemic together and we come out safe and peaceful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clyde. Thank you, Jacqueline, for bringing in this imagery for us to just imagine what might be happening in all our homes. It's not just yours. We will take cognizance of your suggestions and the management will work on that. So thank you for sharing your story, which resonates with most of us. So now I think we can go for a quick round of questions, because I'm sure Namrata should be able to help with these broad questions that we've selected that parents can ask them. We've pre-selected a few questions, and I'll call the name of the parent, and the parent can unmute themselves and then ask the question to Namrata. So we'll go with Mrs. Shweta Kamath, who is the parent of Sannidhi, who is a nursery child. Mrs. Shweta Kamath. So do check if you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question. Okay, maybe we can come back to Shweta after some time while she's figuring out if she can come online. We'll move on to Mrs. Karthika's question. She's a parent of Raksha Limna, again of nursery. Mrs. Karthika, you may unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, everyone. Hi, this is Karthika. Thanks a lot for giving this opportunity. First of all, I would like to thank Redbridge for organizing this only. Thanks a lot, Namrata ma'am. So I'll just quickly go on with my question. So as we have my question would be like how we can better engage our kids, making them not being physically being, in the school, not being feeling away from school friends, and with whatever was their daily routine.
I'm sorry, can you please get me the question again?
Ms. Namrata?
Yeah, I'm here. But I didn't hear the question. It was on mute, I think.
No, ma'am. The question was, how can we better engage our kids, and make them not feel being away from schools, friends, and whatever they was their daily routine as such, being a smaller kid.
So what age group are we looking at here?
This is pre-nursery between 4 and 5.
Okay, so what you're saying is that she does attend school timings on certain at certain time in the day, or there is no schooling at all?
So she does attend. But apart from that, they are being in this home all the time, right? So initially it was nice. She played with all of the things like making boards, paper boards, cutouts, and all of this. Now it's been a year, so they get tired with all of this and boredom, right? So how do we better engage them? And
yes, so what happens is parents get to do get their children to do what they think that the child would be interested in, without actually involving the child in the decision making. If you sit down with the child and ask her what are the things that you would like to do in the day and plan the day out with her, even if it means just asking her, not writing it down, but asking her in a very playful way, or getting her involved in some of the things that you do in the kitchen. I know she's very young, but you can ask her to put away certain things that are lying around with, or things that are, needing to be cleared up. Or you can ask her what kind of hobbies, what kind of things that we can do together for her to be engaged with you, instead of just letting her be by herself. Because now you are her companion, right? There is nobody else that she can play with. Does she have a sibling?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you are her companion now. And if you want her to get away from TV watching and the screen time, you will have to involve her in the activities in the four walls of your house, but which she wants to do. The focus here is on asking her, what would you like? Even if she's 5 years old or 4 years old, you'll be surprised at the kind of things that she will tell you or she will express to you. And as a parent, you also, I'm sure, know what are the things that she does not like to do. So get those out of the way first, and then focus on the ones that you think she will be engaged in. I'm not going to be able to give you a prescription for this, because this is very every child's needs are different. But if you observe her for a day to understand what does she do when she's alone, how does she engage herself doing. There are some kids who love to just sit with a crayon and paper and just keep doing stuff. There are some who like to she might want to follow you wherever you go and start imitating what you're doing. Observe her and understand what her need is, and I'm sure you'll find a way to get her engaged.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Namrata. Thank you, Mrs. Karthika. We move on to Mr. Vikas Tikmani. Could you please unmute yourself, sir? He's the parent of Samriddhi, who's studying in grade 9 ICSE.
Hi, sir. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Kids are nowadays getting used to being at home. And now when you ask them to go out and play, they're reluctant. they're getting used to being at home, leading to loss of physical activity. So how do we improve this? They got complacent with being at home.
Okay, so do you remember I spoke about one of the aspects of self-regulation and how to cope with this whole scene of learning from home? One of them was exercise, the physical exercise bit, and the effects it has on the brain, the happy hormone that is released, the endorphins that are released. Now, since your child is in the 9th standard, he would be aware of the cortisol and the endorphin levels that a brain carries. He would also be aware of what physical aspect of health has on the mental side of it or the emotional side of it. See, for me as a therapist, my key focus is on communication. Okay, the communication channels with the child have to be open. You cannot treat the child as a child and tell him things or tell her things. You need to be on the same level of that kid and explain to him what you're saying, why you're saying, and how you think it will help. This is not giving information or teaching the child something. It's about having him interact with you and get him to into a dialogue to tell him, give him real life examples. Even a better way to do it is be a role model. Why, how difficult it is for you to take him out yourself on a cycle ride or a jog or a walk and tell him and encourage him to go along with you. The best way of parenting is role modeling. There is nothing which impacts a child better than that. Because if as a parent, if you do it and then lead with an example, there's nothing that's going to stop him from doing it. Eventually he will understand the importance, even if initially there is a resistance. But look at it this way: if you are not inclined to physical activity and you're insisting that the child does it, how much of that is going to be impactful? Or how much of that is going to be really taken in the right way?
Okay,
I'm asking a very frank question. I'm not very aware of how your physical regime is, but
No,
if it
you're
is,
right. I'm very sedentary.
there you go. So I think you answered your own question.
Yeah.
The best way to involve him is by getting involved.
Yeah, lead by example.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
keep coming back to that, right? Leading by example. I think that seems to be the panacea for everything. We will do that, Namrata. Yeah. So
Thank
next
you.
question from, thank you, Vikas. From the parent of Ishika. I'm not sure which grade she is in. Maybe the parents will let us know. Mr. and Mrs. J. Mishra can unmute yourselves and ask your question.
Yeah. Good evening, all of you. And thank you, Redbridge, for conducting such a wonderful webinar. In this pandemic situation, there was something very, a unique way of, getting, like we all have been seeing news here and there, and something of this sort is really grateful. And I'm very thankful for that. My daughter name is Yashika, and she is in a nursery now. She is almost a 4-year old girl. Ma'am, I know you have explained wonderfully the entire thing in a very detailed way. In a brief nutshell, I just want to ask you, how to get rid of boredom of, on a daily routine, what we generally follow as a parents with our kids. Doing innovative thing on a daily basis is something, it's not happening on a daily basis, and that somewhere leads them to get addicted to the TV or mobile or the screen. So if you can just help us understand how we can get rid of the boredom, or maybe make them feel better in the current pandemic situation.
Okay, it's quite a deep question of how to get rid of boredom for a 4-year-old kid. So, first of all, I don't know whether a 4-year-old kid knows the concept of boredom. Okay,
No.
it's only when the parents keep talking about it and the narrative is repeatedly fed into our mind that this is boring or we have nothing to do or stuff like that. When we talk at home all the time as adults, I think the children condition themselves also to understand that okay, maybe this is boredom, because boredom is a big word for a 4-year-old kid. Okay, it is very important for the parent to be very mindful about what is being said in front of the child. Also, it is very important that the parent himself or herself should be involved actively in the day-to-day chores, which shows the child that the parents are not bored. Okay, where the parents are trying constantly to do something to keep the house together, because working from home and working for home have taken up maybe 16 hours of the day for all parents, I'm sure, the waking hours of our day.
Exactly.
If it is specifically that you feel that this child is bored, I think since you all are all at home, you should get her to do things that as children we did. Do you remember when you were 4-year-old, probably your mother would have told you the things that you did. It was not necessarily, going out to play all the time. It was also things that we did inside the house. Reading a book, sit with her and read a book which has a message. Or I spoke about planting a seed, getting her to be involved in, even a 4-year-old can do that. Okay, getting her to understand what it means for mama to be cooking, to be cleaning, also to be teaching her and doing other household chores. It's not about getting her involved in all the chores, but asking her to understand and to be involved in some part of those chores, even if she's a 4-year-old. Okay, another very very effective way of keeping the child from boredom is to get her mind activated. And how would you do that? Earlier, I'll give you an example which I used for a 80-year-old woman who had the same complaint that I am very bored. I don't know what to do. Everybody is busy with their lives and I'm sitting alone, seeing the world go by, but I have nothing to do. And then a lot of thoughts of insecurity, a lot of thoughts of not knowing what. I gave her about 5 or 6, maybe 6 different colored yarns. Okay, yarn which you knit, the wool, balls. And there were small quantities and I entangled the whole thing. And I asked her to separate it. The next time your child says she's bored, do this. And I'm sure she'll never say it again. Because at that point, she will know that this is what I'm going to get to do. So better not be bored, better find something interesting to do. Or you never know, she will really be a pro at it. But it has a very big impact on the mind, let me tell you. Try it out.
Thank you,
Or
ma'am.
mix different pulses and ask her to segregate them.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just a few that just came to my mind.
Thank you so much.
Wow, Namrata, you're bringing innovation to psychology as well. Wow, that's nice.
Well, I'm trying.
It's very enticing to get hold of a few balls of yarn and try untangling them. I'm sure it's very engaging. Thank you.
Raghvendra, if you do this today when you go home, you'll realize how much of your frustration will come out when those balls get disentangled.
Wonderful.
I'm not even...
No, I will try that. That's amazing. I can imagine myself doing that. Thank you. Okay. Next, we move on to the parent of Nitin Muppala, who is in grade 7. Mr. and Mrs. Muppala can take their turn.
Hi, this is Vijay, Nitin's father. And thank you, Redbridge and Ms. Namrata, for touching upon such a sensitive and really important topic, which I think many of the parents are going through. So I have a question. So he's turned a teenager now, and till last year he never used a computer, and now he has to use the computer all the time. And as a parent, whenever I see, I'm very sure that he's not attending the classes or he's not busy with his assignments, all the time, but he's busy with the computer. And as a parent, I also want to respect his privacy and not intrude, go behind him to see what he's doing. I don't like to do that. It's a trust that I want to place on him. So at the same time, I'm not really confident that he's with the classes all the time, or he's doing his project, which he keeps saying he's doing. So my question is, how do we educate a child not to abuse the trust that we place on him and conduct him responsibly? So what is the message that as a parent I'm supposed to give him?
You made 2 points over here. One is that you trust him, but you also said that you are not confident.
No, the reason is I don't want to intrude on his privacy. It's not about me trusting, but at the same time, I want to be able to feel confident that the trust that I show it onto him, like saying that I believe what you're saying. That's the trust I want to place on him, and so that he doesn't abuse it. Say, for example, he's saying, "Okay, I'm busy." So I say, "Okay, I trust you that you're busy," but how do I emphasize that he's not abusing it by falsifying it?
Yeah, this is a very important question. Actually, you have used it for screen time, but I would use it in normal life with a teenager about trust. Okay. Trust factor is something that parents do have with teenagers because of the kind of exposures that they have. And it's the age, right? It's the curiosity in that age which leads them to do a lot of things. So how does one inculcate trust in a child? Again, the key factor is communication. Okay, instead of telling the child what is right and what is wrong, I believe that the trust can be more enhanced or given more importance by allowing the child to make a choice between the right and wrong. And trusting the child to come up to you and tell you that, okay, this is what I did, and I don't think it's right, but I did it. And for that, you need to be a parent with channels of communication open. That again comes back to that. Trust building is a very, very big activity between a child and a parent. It has to be maintained at a level of a comfort level of both. And the irony is that until the trust is broken a couple of times, it doesn't build stronger. It's just the way it is. It just works that way because the child has to understand. You, as a parent, you have to inculcate this feeling of responsibility for the choices that the child makes. I feel that is a very important factor in trust building. Because if that child is given things to do based on the trust that you have on him, and those things, assignments, are not done or are under scrutiny for some reason, then there is a question of responsibility which comes with the trust.
Okay.
The way to look at it is this, that you need to talk to that child and give him to understand that I trust you and I understand that you need your privacy. The computer is given to you for certain assignments. If those assignments are not complete, what should we do? Okay. What is the next step that you want me to do with you? He's old enough to give you probably a reason or an answer for that. That will make him think. That will make him think about the responsibility and the trust that is put on him. Is he able to fulfill it? Is he able to answer you when you ask him questions about the trust that is put on him? Are you in a place to have an open dialogue with him?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's all fine. We know that, sometimes it's just, they have their screen time. Okay, of course, we don't know in between the classes when there is a break. Probably they are on some social platforms, chatting with the friends, but saying that, oh, I'm still in the class, and basically, or listening to or watching some YouTube videos, when they're supposed to come and take a break and have some food or something like this, but they are extremely busy. Now, all these things, it can't be that busy, but handling such situations become a bit tricky.
So
saying that
I would like to ask you one question. The trust that you place on him is about what? Trust that he will finish his assignments? Trust that he will not go off the...
For example, if he says that, okay, I'm in the class, say for example, my class is extended. So I don't want to go past and say that, actually it can't be happening every day. Say for example, if it happens continuously for a week, and he doesn't come out for having lunch, or basically doesn't come out for having a small breakfast break, then I assume that something else is happening. So basically, but I don't go and start looking up at the screen and to see that really whether he's doing the same. So I want to respect what he's saying, because that's one way to build mutual understanding. But then there has to be some kind of a dialogue to make him understand that, okay, fine, he can have whatever entertainment in between, but of course he's also responsible for doing certain regular activities on time, which are essential.
So have they been done on regular times? Have you had any feedback from the teachers that he's not been attending?
I think what I feel is it's a new attachment, because probably he was not with the computer before, and now suddenly he found a gadget which he probably feels is very entertaining and it's amusing to him. So he's stuck with it all the time. So he doesn't care about having a break for something else. He's very busy. He doesn't mind sacrificing his food. He's very busy, and so that's a new attachment, So probably after some time, probably he'll get bored. I'm not sure, but this is one thing. Probably I want to find a way to communicate to him, saying that, okay, fine, I completely understand that you're occupied, but then you should also take some responsibility that you're not abusing the space that we are giving to you.
Yeah, that would be the ideal way of communicating to him, that I trust you. Also, when you mention trust to your child, he has to know that there are consequences of breaking the trust. And that has to be communicated very clearly. Because if there is any ambiguity there, that he knows that he has gone beyond that boundary and you still haven't done anything about it, the message is very different. So when you communicate with him, you have to tell him that I trust you. But if you break trust, I don't know, you tell me how we should go ahead. Should we have a regulation on your screen time? Or should we have a monitoring on your screen time? Or should I sit with you in the class when it's getting done so that you don't have this temptation of going on to another chat? This is, I think, the way that a friendly approach, a very, very honest and a very transparent approach to tell him that I trust you, but if you break my trust, you will have to, bear the consequences of it. And what are those consequences is something that you will have to decide as a boundary, that it cannot cross beyond that, because this is where addictions for screen time and the other things start.
Yes.
So if we, so I think your fear is coming from there, but if we understand the child and get him to understand what you are saying, rather than put, on a monitor on him, he will probably get it at some point. Not now, it's too new now, it's too novel now for him to do it so soon, but eventually he'll understand what you're saying. But, okay, this is the crux of it. He turns around and understands that what you're saying was right, and he does communicate it with you. As a parent, it would be great if you don't say, I told you so.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
I never
the catch.
say it.
Because
I understand.
I mean, I'm not talking about you. I'm generally saying that that's the pattern parents follow, that I told you. This is the reason I told you not to do it. But at that point, if you say that, great, I'm happy that you can communicate with me and let's find a solution to this. The child will be very confident and he will not want to break your trust again. That's my experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Namrata. We'll move on to Mrs. Varsha, who is the founder director of Spark International School. Mrs. Varsha, you can go ahead.
Yes, I'm very much there. Thank you. First of all, I will convey my deepest thanks to Redbridge School, okay, for arranging this session, which was a need of an hour. And Namrata, this was quite valuable inputs and advice you have given, which as a parent and as a school and as a teacher, definitely I would cherish with me. Okay. So far we have gone through question and answer which parents are raising, but I have a little different question here as a school and as a teacher. Because when school are reopening and when we are going to have an interaction with our young ones, because specifically we deal with young ones, kids were away from their routine classroom cultures and ritual, what they used to do earlier. And for a longer period, quite a long, right now, almost one and a half year to 2 years, okay? And they have underwent a lot of emotional turmoil as well as indisciplinary behavior in a certain way. And when they come back to school, okay, and this is the first challenging time, even as a teacher and as a school, even we are also going to. Okay, so in that sense, how as a teacher and a school we have to cope up with this kind of situations?
Okay, first of all, since you are from the other side of the parental, from the other side of the parents, I would really like to thank you and hats off to the whole education system for having coped with this new way of teaching. To get digitally literate, to understand what children need, and and parents understanding rather what a fantastic job teachers do at school, which they are having to do now, which I must say a big thank you, a big shout out to all the educators, because it's a fantastic job that you all are doing, and that we actually have understood more now since we are sitting at home and trying to do what you do in school. So yeah, coming back to your question, which is something which I spoke about right in the beginning of the presentation. In this whole scenario of remote learning, if we understand as parents, I'm coming to the parent side now, that it's not about just the learning that the child is taking, but how the child is learning. Is the mental health of the child in a suitable condition to take this, to adapt to this new form of learning, and to not make it a big deal about he has to learn, he has to get the grades. I don't know about the grading system now with this remote learning, but it's about the competitiveness of the child, which is expected him to be on top of the job all the time. As parents and as educators, we should have a very compassionate way of looking at this child and understand the mental health of the child. Understand what the kid needs right now is more being proactive rather than expecting the kid to behave in a certain way. And when the child comes back to the school scenario, I don't know when that's going to be, but whenever that happens, it is going to be a big responsibility on the educators to bring the whole feel of being together again, of belonging together again, of the peer that is there in the in the classroom, because they have missed out on the peer group and the peer and social interaction with the peers. So that part of it is something that we need to look forward to and focus on more. I think when the school starts, for the first few weeks, that educators, teachers, the decision makers in the school should focus, should plan, and should make decisions based on mental health more than just the learning. If you invest in those first few days in the mental health of children in all peer groups, I think you will have a smooth sailing ahead. There are certain ways of doing it. There are certain tools and techniques that you can use. And there are also certain ways that you can train the educator to come along on board with this whole mental health picture that we have to do it. There is just no way. I understand, and I have heard teachers saying syllabus has to get over, my unit test portions have to get over. There is a timeline for me. But trust me, if we invest these first few weeks when the children come back to school into mental health, and more of, when I say mental health, it's positive. Let's look at mental health positively, okay? That's where we need to invest on. And I'm sure you're going to do a great job if you do that. Get the teachers on board with this whole exercise of being healthy in the mind.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your
I think train them before they come back to school. I think that's, that's a very essential thing, because teachers anyway are teachers because they have an amount of compassion in them, because they want to connect with kids. But if you give them this extra mile of being empathetic also, I think it will help a great deal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Namrata. I think we will slow down when this happens and make sure that we interact with the child before we get on to academics. We have another question here from parent of Rakshiv Shetty of grade 2A. Mrs. Shrisha Shetty, you can ask your question.
Raghavendra, I'll just step in before the parents ask the question. Well, we'll keep that as the last question for today's meeting, as we have already overextended the time that we had planned for the meeting. So if you can make that the last question, and then we'll finish the formalities and finish the meeting.
Certainly, sir. So let this be the last question. I'm sure most of your queries have already been answered in one way or the other. So we will end this session after Shrisha's question.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for arranging this session. I would like to thank Redbridge International Academy for having a wonderful remote learning. Though it was a remote learning, we never felt so, because they covered all the activities. They covered the annual day, sports day, which most of the schools have not done it. They have just done the portions. And I see few of my relatives, kids' schools also, they have just sent some offline videos, and they have just told that, okay, you have to just go through this. But they have made sure, Redbridge has made sure that kids learn in the class, and it was very interactive. So we never felt that it was like an online class. It was very, very interactive. So my questions were actually regarding the anger management plus how to create interest in studies. But I think, Namrata ma'am, you have already answered that. So we have to go to the level of the child to understand why they are behaving like that and get that resolved. So that was the answer what I got from your session. And regarding creating interest, nowadays they're watching a lot of videos, though we create some time schedule for that, but they watch a lot of videos. They feel that they know everything. So that sense of overconfidence is there in them. They see some videos and they cross-question us, do you know this? So usually we will not know most of the things, and they feel that they know everything than us, right? So when I tell them to attend the class, they say that in class they will teach the same thing what I know already, because they see so many other things outside, right? So to create that interest that no, you have to attend the class, but once you start attending the class, they are fine with the class, they enjoy the class, because the teachers at Redbridge, they make sure that the class is too good and too interactive. But to create that interest to attend the class, that push is really required. So my son is moving to grade 3 now, so he just hates writing. So I just want to know how to create interest in writing. Now that the tests are also conducted online, they have just forgotten like how to write. It's very, their handwriting also have become very slow, and grade 3 onwards they have not to write. So somehow I want to know how I can create that interest in writing.
Can I give you a very honest answer, Shrisha? Miss Shrisha?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. See, writing, earlier I used to be worried about children not, having lost the habit of reading storybooks at bedtime, because that's how we grew up. And that was something that we did, I do even now. Now I'm afraid children have even stopped, the habit of writing, which is really, really scary for me, because I don't know how it's going to work out for them once they start growing up in their adult life. But the way to do it is, I think, what I used to do with my children is read storybooks with them in the night. So I thought it would, and it helped. So now if it is writing, what you would do is write him. You said you have a son, right?
Yes, I have a son.
Yeah, so write him small notes, handwritten notes. Get him, just write him on these, you have these sticky notes. Just write. Post-its, yeah, post-its. Write some a sentence, what would make him happy, and stick it somewhere where he can see it. And then tomorrow it would be somewhere else, and the day after somewhere else, on the fridge where he goes to open the fridge or his cupboard. And then he'll start getting curious. Ma, you're writing something on these notes for me. So then you tell him that, come on, you also start writing for me and put them in places that I can, look for them. These are the ways I think that every parent knows how the child can get involved. It is just to probably put it into practice and really be creative and innovative about it that's going to help. From those small notes of one-liners, you can ask him then to write a small para about what he thinks of. What if you tell him, okay, write a few sentences about what did you dream last night? He'll say, no, ma, I will tell you, I don't want to write. Tell him, no, I want to see it in writing because I can stick it in my diary and I would like to see it even after a few days. If you tell me, I won't remember after a few days, but if you write it down and give me, I can see it whenever I feel like. And I'll feel so happy that my child had such a nice dream. Or what was your experience with your class today? What did your friends in class do today on your online class? Can you write down only 2 sentences for me? And then maybe it can go to 5 sentences about, oh, you remember we went on a holiday last time? Can you remember what you felt that time or what you enjoyed the most? Can you write 2-3 sentences about that? These are the ways I think, because if you tell him to write something about his school, I don't think that's going to work very well. But if you get him into the habit of writing, then the schoolwork will come very easy. Get him good pens to write. Get him colorful pens to write. Get him post-its. Get him some other ways, felt pens to draw a small thing under his note that he's written to you. Maybe that would help.
Okay, I'll surely try it out. Thank you so much.
And you can use any other imagination that you can, innovative way of getting him to write. I just gave you a few suggestions that came to my mind.
Yeah, sure. I'll try that out. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being patiently listening.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you. So, well, the innovation continues. We're so glad, Namrata, that in the science of psychotherapy or psychology, you bring in a lot of art. And I think that's something we parents can learn. Thank you very much. You almost like a teacher. Yes, sir.
Raghavendra, does Ms. Namrata ever plan to shifting base to Bangalore?
Would you, Namrata?
She is in Bangalore, sir. From what I know, she is in Bangalore.
Oh, I thought ma'am was in Mumbai.
No, she's very much from Bangalore.
I should. I can't hear ma'am. Ma'am seemed to be muted.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm very much in Bangalore, sir.
Yeah, I know. I was just amazed at the way you gave solutions to every single issue that the parent had, and such beautiful practical solutions that I imagined that you were in Bombay. So I said, if you're shifting base to Bangalore, we would love to have you here at Redbridge more often.
Oh, I would love to come to Redbridge when you have your physical school on, most certainly. And I would like to be virtually with you also whenever you need me. It would be a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, because I must tell you on behalf of all the parents, on behalf of all of us here who are here with you today, I mean, your ability to analyze even a sort of a complex issue that a parent has it was so beautiful that I must tell you, I really enjoyed it. So I was not wanting to miss out on the vote of thanks. I know somebody else probably is going to do that. But I said, let me thank Namrata before the session is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, sir. It's an honor to be part of a wonderful setup. The parents had such great views about how the teachers conduct the classes, and even the online classes have been, so parent friendly, and they have. I love the way that the parents reacted to all the teachers. Very heartwarming.
And that is the positive that has come out from the crisis that we've gone through. The way our teachers have really got together to, to make a difference in, in a terrible situation.
I know.
Really, I join you in complimenting our teachers, because they are the ones that have made the difference.
Sure. And hats off to each one of you, all the educators, teachers who are putting this all together and adapting to new ways of connecting with the children and the parents. It's because of you that these kids are, have seen that last year go through and will also see few more months, I hope, only few more months, and we'll all be good.
Thank you so much, Namrata. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your heartfelt words. So parents, we are really heartened with the session that has happened today and your wholehearted support. We are all now sitting up literally and taking notice of Namrata and her practical solutions, as sir put it. So we can't wait to come back with a bang like this again in June. And our chairman, sir, will definitely be even more excited with the success of this very first session, that we will come back with something very relevant to all of you. So stay tuned and give us the support like you did today. And thank you so much for joining in.
And it goes without saying, a very, very, very heartwarming thank you to Ms. Namrata for taking out time to do this wonderful session for us. Like I said in my introductory note, mental health is of utmost importance, and we believe that that's the next big idea that we need to focus on. And like I put on the chat box as well, Redbridge is always going to be dedicated and focused to ensuring that we succeed in our race towards having good mental health. Thank you for all the parents for joining in. We are very overwhelmed with the response that we have got from our parents. We will share the link through your emails of the recorded session, today's recorded session, which you can then circulate to your friends and family and to anybody else who you know has missed out on this wonderful session. And thank you to all the parents for joining in. A special thank you to especially to all the parents, for asking the relevant questions, which I'm sure are the questions which were there in most of the other parents' mind. But today you were the voice and face of those questions. So once again, thank you for that. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for your wonderful words. And Raghavendra, thank you very much for hosting the entire event. No event can be completed, whether it's online or offline, without having the back-end support of the entire team at Redbridge. Without naming any specific person, the entire team at Redbridge, a job well done. Good evening, and it's still not time, or it's still not safe enough for us to roam the streets. So please stay home and stay safe. The only way we can get the children to physically come to class is by us adults exercising constraint and stopping the spread of this deadly virus. So please stay at home and stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Redbridge is an institute that is caring, principled, innovative, and strives to shape the future of the younger generation.
We are going to produce an engineer who will be an expert sports person. We will be producing an astronomer who will be excellent classical musician. So we have a mix and match of different disciplines which are taught to the students as part of the whole education program. So we will have students developing a balanced personality with a good head and a good heart, with skillful hands.
Redbridge is the proud recipient of various prestigious awards in the realm of education, offered by reputed international institutes and educational bodies. These accolades include awards for its innovative architecture, individual attention to students, co-curricular activities, and for excellence in STEAM education. The school has also been ranked as one of the top international schools in India.
Coming into Redbridge, the first thing that stood out was our principal, who welcomed us with such cheer that it gave me positive vibes for the whole year ahead. One of the greatest things about this school is that the students are so close to each other and that the teachers are extremely involved with the students.
Catering to a spectrum of students and faculty from across the world, Redbridge is a place where learning is personalized, with the students and the faculty collaborating in a constructive and cohesive environment to facilitate a wide range of transdisciplinary, inquiry-based and experiential learning. The school focuses on helping the students nurture their talent, unlock their full potential, facilitate self-awareness, and ensure holistic personal development. Efforts are taken to ensure minimum attrition of teachers and students. Concerted efforts at educational excellence, ethos, and philosophy make Redbridge one of the best international schools in India.
We are looking at a capacity building wherein we will bring in the best of talent within the market and outside the market. Teachers, administrators, and students from all walks of life and society.
Have you ever wondered what counts for a holistic, all-round development of your child? A healthy environment after school is quintessential for your child's well-being. At Redbridge, we ensure that your child is a happy dreamer by providing a comfortable environment that allows the boarders the right balance of controlled freedom, enriching campus, and equal opportunity. The school has excellent residential facilities on its beautiful campus, offering fully furnished, spacious, and well-ventilated rooms with state-of-the-art amenities, as well as tasty yet healthy food provided throughout the year.
I like the school's hostel, food, ground, auditorium. Studies are so much fun over here. I love this school.
Our dedicated house parents provide excellent pastoral care for children of all age groups. We are creating a caring community built on mutual respect, enthusiasm, and healthy relationships. Weekends at Redbridge are filled with fun, adventure, and excitement. Boarders take part in excursions, visits to museums, national parks, shopping malls, music concerts, sports events, and cultural events. Safety is assured. The campus has round-the-clock security personnel stationed in and around the campus with CCTV monitoring, making it one of the safest schools in Bangalore.
Institutional capacity building, looking at intellectual capacity building of our teachers and students, and whole person development and leadership programs. And we're looking forward to partnering with parents and stakeholders in society. We look forward to you joining us, embarking on a rewarding journey with us, and as we take education to greater heights and unlock the potential of our students to become global citizens who think globally and act locally.